The president and vice president both support getting as much humanitarian aid into Gaza as soon as possible. Trump has said Netanyahu is doing a good job and has said Biden is holding him back.
Just like I said, what is the hard decision to make? All right, so let me go ahead and start by reading this comment that I got earlier today that ties in with the whole meaning of this video here. It's posted, I agreed and subscribed for the things you posted about Bassem Youssef. Seems you were on a path of truth. But what I see now, brother, seems you can learn a lot from our fearless, strong, backboned sister, Candace Owens, who has at least done some homework, to be honest. You lost me with this one, unfortunately. So, and oddly enough, I was planning on doing this video today anyway, so it kind of just ties in perfectly with the whole situation here. Let me pull up my notes. So let's just get straight to the point, okay? I want to make this as clear as possible, all right? I'm not going to yell, okay? Let's just talk. The Green Party is not going to win. It is, 6 days to election? They're not going to win. I wish I could vote for them and they have a strong plan to win this year, but unfortunately, that's not the plan. Okay. I don't want to look 4 years from now, 8 years from now. I'm worried about this election right now. All right. So whatever the Green Party decides to do, we can have that conversation. But as of now, they're not going to win. All right. So that leaves us voting for Trump, voting for Harris, or not voting at all. Or you can still vote for whoever you want, but it's only going to be two of those winners, Trump or Harris. No one else. Nobody else. Please understand that. Trump himself, okay, everyone likes to equate, oh, the Democrats are just as bad as the Republicans and blah, blah, blah. No. You missed me with that. Please do a little bit more homework. All right. Just this past week, Trump himself, out of his own mouth, not his surrogates, not a Trump supporter, or not just some weird conspiracy. He said himself during the interview, go ahead and watch it. He said Joe Biden is being too soft. He's not allowing Israel to do all they can. That's literally what he said. He said Joe Biden is being soft. And Kamala Harris is going to be just as soft. So if he is trying to relate to people that the Democratic Party is being too soft on Israel, what does that mean that he's going to do? Be even softer? No, because he has too much money, too much investments, too much at stake, and too much to prove to be soft on anybody in the Middle East. He's going to allow Israel to finish the job. That's literally verbatim what he said. Finish the job. What does that mean? Kill them all. We understand and agree that this is a genocide. Well, at some point, a genocide needs to end. And how do you end that? Wipe them all out. Blow them off the map ASAP. So don't try to sit here and argue with me that because I'm voting for Harris is somehow rewarding the Democratic Party for a genocide, when we know that not voting for Harris or voting for Trump or voting for a third party is rewarding the Republican Party, and they're going to finish the job. It's that simple. So come up with a better argument. All right. So let's go ahead. Hear one of my favorite people, which should have been president a long time ago, but that's another conversation. Let's hear his perspective on voting for Trump or voting for Harris and the war in Gaza.
I understand that there are millions of Americans who disagree with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on the terrible war in Gaza. I am one of them. While Israel had a right to defend itself against the horrific Hamas terrorist attack of October 7th, which killed 1,200 innocent people and took 250 hostages, it did not have the right to wage an all-out war against the entire Palestinian people. It did not have the right to kill 42,000 Palestinians, 2/3 of whom were children, women, and the elderly, or injure over 100,000 people in Gaza. It did not have the right to destroy Gaza's infrastructure, housing, and healthcare system. It did not have the right to bomb every one of Gaza's 12 universities. It did not have the right to block humanitarian aid, causing massive malnutrition in children and, in fact, starvation. And that is why I am doing everything I can to block U.S. military aid and offensive weapons sales to the right-wing extremist Netanyahu government in Israel. And I know that many of you share those feelings. And some of you are saying, how can I vote for Kamala Harris if she is supporting this terrible war? And that is a very fair question. And let me give you my best answer. And that is that even on this issue, Donald Trump and his right-wing friends are worse. In the Senate, in Congress, the Republicans have worked overtime to block humanitarian aid to the starving children in Gaza. The president and vice president both support getting as much humanitarian aid into Gaza as soon as possible. Trump has said Netanyahu is doing a good job and has said Biden is holding him back.
Just like I said, what is the hard decision to make? If you don't vote for Harris, you vote Green Party or whoever, you can write in Captain America if you wanted to. But if Trump gets into that office, it is game over. You think what's going on over there is bad now. I can bet my last dollar you ain't seen nothing yet. And I don't want to see that. And like I said, Harris is not my top 5 pick, either the Democratic Party. I'm no huge fan of her. I got a lot of critiques. But unfortunately, I have to make a strategic vote. And that's what this is. And we can talk about how we're going to hold her accountable for what she's promising now. We can have that conversation. But right now, we need to make sure that we are voting strategically and not emotionally. Because doing anything kind of based off emotion, 9 times out of 10, that's going to get you in trouble. That's going to get the results that you don't want. And trust me, I'm a very emotional person. I done gotten in a lot of trouble off my emotion. So it's nothing wrong with voting strategically, and especially when Trump is saying he needs to finish the job. I mean, that's a no-brainer for me right there.
He has suggested that the Gaza Strip would make excellent beachfront property for development. And it is no wonder Netanyahu prefers to have Donald Trump in office. But even more importantly, and this I promise you, after Kamala wins, we will together do everything that we can to change U.S. policy toward Netanyahu. An immediate ceasefire, the return of all hostages, a surge of massive humanitarian aid, the stopping of settler attacks on the West Bank, and the rebuilding of Gaza for the Palestinian people. And let me be clear, we will have, in my view, a much better chance of changing U.S. policy with Kamala than with Trump, who is extremely close to Netanyahu and sees him as a like-minded, right-wing extremist ally. But let me also say this, and I deal with this every single day as a U.S. Senator. As important as Gaza is, and as strongly as many of us feel about this issue, it is not the only issue at stake in this election.
That's right.
If Trump wins, women in this country will suffer an enormous setback and lose the ability to control their own bodies. That is not acceptable. If Trump wins, to be honest with you, the struggle against climate change is over. While virtually every scientist who has studied the issue understands that climate change is real and an existential threat to our country and the world, Trump believes it is a hoax. And if the United States, the largest economy in the world, stops transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel, every other country, China, Europe, all over the world, they will do exactly the same thing.
That's right.
And God only knows the kind of planet we will leave to our kids and future generations. If Trump wins at a time of massive income and wealth inequality, he will demand even more tax breaks.
That's right.
For the very richest people in our country, while cutting back on programs that working families desperately need. The rich will only get richer, while the minimum wage will remain at $7.25 an hour, and millions of our fellow workers will continue to earn starvation wages. Did you all see the recent Trump rally at Madison Square Garden? Well, I did.
Did we? I almost thought I was a card-carrying KKK member at the end of that rally. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many clips I done seen of that? I was like making sure like I didn't have any like tattoos of some burning crosses or whatever. Like, we seen it, Bernie. Trust me. I wish I could unsee that.
And what I can tell you is that as a nation, as all of you know, we have struggled for years against impossible odds to try to overcome all forms of bigotry, whether it is racism, whether it's sexism, whether it's homophobia, whether it's xenophobia, you name it. We have tried to fight against bigotry. But that is exactly what we saw on display at that unbelievable Trump rally. It was not a question of speakers getting up there disagreeing with Kamala Harris on the issues. That wasn't the issue at all. They were attacking her simply because she was a woman and a woman of color.
Perfect.
Extreme, vulgar sexism and racism.
Perfect.
Is that really the kind of America that we can allow? So let me conclude by saying this. This is the most consequential election in our lifetimes. Many of you have differences of opinion with Kamala Harris on Gaza. So do I. But we cannot sit this election out. Trump has got to be defeated. Let's do everything we can in the next week to make sure that Kamala Harris is our next president. Thank you very much.
Simple. I mean, could not have said that's better myself, even though I done made like 10 videos saying those exact same things. But I think a lot of people respect Bernie regardless of some of the minor things you disagree with. But overall, if there's any sort of ally, if you just have to name one person in the Democratic Party that you could just bet that he's for the actual common America or American, is Bernie, hands down. He's been on the same messaging before I was born, and I'm 37 years old. So that's a long time. You know what I'm saying? So we have to make sure that we are not playing ourselves here. Like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to look cute on the internet by saying screw the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. They're all just, contributing to this genocide, which, it's a decent conversation to have. It ain't time to be cute on the internet. We have to make sure that we're putting the right person in office that we can at least push for some sort of change. But I guarantee, oh, sweet Lord Almighty, if you hear me now, I can guarantee if Trump gets in that office, there is no conversation. There's no pushing. There's no protesting. There's not enough protest in the world that would get Donald Trump to back off his word. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? If you just want to let the whole house burn, go for it. But I'm not willing to do that. So, but once again, if you guys disagree with anything that I said in this video, click the Discord link down below. Let's have that one-on-one talk, or just let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below. And like always, let's have that conversation.